Hello everyone, it's Mafalda and welcome back to a new video, and today I'm going to be doing a ranking video because I haven't done a ranking video in maybe like 2 or 3 years, and I honestly love watching ranking videos. So I don't have TikTok, I never have, I never really had the interest in having it, and maybe I never will, but also maybe it's too early to say because TikTok just keeps growing every single day. Even though I don't have TikTok, I obviously know all of the trends, and I also know about booktok, and I've seen a bunch of videos on booktok and how it's impacting reading and it's making people read more, and I think that's great. And I've obviously also seen the displays in bookshops of books TikTok made me buy and booktok books and just all of that, and I just think it's so interesting that TikTok and booktok has made like a genre of its own, and there are a lot of books that we obviously associate with booktok a lot. And since I'm not on booktok, I just see these covers around and I see these books in bookshops, and it's so interesting because a lot of them I don't even know what they're about. I have not read the majority of them. So today I just thought I would do a ranking of all of these books from booktok that I'm just gonna base off of the cover and rank them whether I like the covers or not. I judge a lot of books by their covers. Yes, I do. I go to bookshops and I only pick up books that I like the covers of or that I have heard about before. I think book covers are so important, and yeah, if a cover doesn't draw me to the book, I'm just not interested. So today I'm going to be ranking these booktok books based off of their covers, and I did an extensive research and I tried to find the most books that I have like seen around and stuff, and I know that are popular right now or have been popular, and I think I have a pretty good list, to be honest, from my research. And I decided also not to include books that I have already read because honestly it's gonna have like a biased opinion of whether I like the book or not. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, for example, is a really popular book on booktok, and it's one of my favorite books, and honestly if it had a poop emoji on the cover I would still love the cover. I'm very biased in terms of book covers, as you can tell, so yeah, I'm not gonna include those. And yeah, I guess let's get into the ranking. And before we actually get into the ranking, I'm gonna explain these categories, like the ranking categories, because I had a lot of fun coming up with them. So the first one, the top one, is Slay, as BB Rexa said. Slay! Slay! And these are books that have honestly very good covers, and I maybe if I was in a bookshop and I didn't know about the book, I would pick up the book just because of the cover, so that's a good indication of a good cover. Now the next category below it is What About Kevin?
I got love for you too, Joe!
Kevin! What about Kevin?
And I think this category is basically for books that I feel like maybe are underappreciated, and I think they're pretty good covers. They're not slay, but they're not bad as well, and they're just good, and I like them and I see them. Now the next category is Get Your Fucking Ass Up and Work.
I have the best advice for women in business. Get your fucking ass up and work.
And this is for books that I think could have given a little bit more, like they're giving but they're not giving at the same time, and I just think they could have done a much better job with the cover art, and it's just okay, I guess. Now the next category is She Looks Like Every Other Bitch.
She looks like every other bitch, like.
And I just think there's a certain type of romance book that to me all looks the same, and the covers are all the same, and it's just very generic, and there's honestly, I feel like there's no thought going into these covers, and it's just infuriating because they're so average, and they could have done a lot better. A romance about two people, let's put the two people on the cover and that's it. And now the last category is Debt to All of Them.
How dare you, Mr. Spears? You had me fooled. And you too, Mrs. Spears. Death to all of them.
And I think these covers deserve jail time, and I deserve financial compensation for looking at them, honestly, because they just insult me, and that to all of them, honestly. So let's just start with the ranking, shall we? So the first book in this ranking is The Fourth Wing. This is a book that has been very popular this year. I feel like it just came out of nowhere. It also has the highest rating on Goodreads I've seen from like a really popular BookTok book. Also, the cover is just honestly very okay to me. I like the intricate design around the title, but that's about it. I think going with gold was a very safe choice, and it doesn't look like every other bitch, but it's get your fucking ass up and work definitely for me, because it's just not giving anything. It's just okay. Now, next in line, we have The Love Hypothesis, and this was very popular, I think last year or 2 years ago already. I have opinions about this cover because it was, I don't know if it was already up front, but I think it was discovered that after publishing this book that this was originally Kylo Ren and Rey fanfiction from the Star Wars franchise. And after discovering this fact and looking at the cover, it's just very weird because this is literally Kylo Ren. Rey, it's not so much, but like this is literally Kylo Ren. You can't convince me otherwise. It's kind of the same thing as if after the fanfiction about Harry Styles, like published cover of that book had a very similar like drawing of Harry Styles. That would be weird to me, honestly. And yeah, this is also very weird to me, but I do like the cover. I do really like the colors used in this cover. I think they complement each other really well. And I do also really like that we get kind of a glimpse into these characters and what they do for work. They probably work in a lab as chemists, maybe, I don't know. But I do like those little aspects of the cover. So I think I'm gonna put this in What About Kevin, because I like the whole cover if I didn't know that this was fanfiction or based off of fanfiction. Next up we have Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey, and this is just going straight into she looks like every other bitch, because she does look like every other bitch. And honestly, this cover is just so bland and so boring, and I just don't get it. I don't understand how someone can look at this cover and be like, yeah, I'm gonna read this book about these two characters that have no shroud of personality. Yeah, I'm just gonna read this. Yeah, other than the fact that he's wearing a suit and she has flowers in her hands, honestly, that tells you nothing still. So yeah, this just looks like every other bitch. I've seen covers like this everywhere. Then I decided to pick another Tessa Bailey because all of her books are really popular, and I just picked these two kind of randomly. And I also picked It Happened One Summer, and this one also kind of follows the same pattern as the previous one, where it's just like two characters on either side of the cover and they're looking at each other and they're kind of like flirtatious eyes at each other. But this one I feel like has a little bit more of a personality. We can kind of tell that this book is probably set, well, during the summer and probably at sea. I don't know, he kind of looks like a sailor or something, and there's a lighthouse in the background and also some birds and the sea, I guess, as well. And it just has a little bit more of a personality than the previous one. So for this one, I'm not gonna put in She Looks Like Every Other Bitch. I'm gonna put in Get Your Fucking Ass Up and Work, because I feel like it worked a little bit. It got up and it did some work, but it could have done more. And I also looked at other Tessa Bailey books, and I feel like the covers are all kind of following the same pattern of having like the two main characters mostly full body and just kind of looking at each other, or doing something together, and they're all pretty bland. I would say, like, Tessa Bailey, please get a better cover artist, because this is not doing you any favors, to be honest. And I decided to specifically put Emily Henry's books after this because her book covers are more interesting, I think. First of all, we have Happy Place, and I do like this cover, but this shade, I love pink. It's probably one of my favorite colors, if not my favorite. But this shade of pink is a bit offensive, to be honest. It's just very bright, and also for a book set probably during the summer from the illustrations in this, it just feels very odd to have pink as a background. I just wouldn't think of that at all, and it just doesn't remind me of summer, and it's just a very very offensive shade of fuchsia. So I'm gonna put this in Get Your Fucking Ass Up and Work, honestly, because it could have been a bit better. Next up, we have Book Lovers, also by Emily Henry, and I decided to do this with some of the books on this list, and I decided to include 2 different covers of the book. So the first one, I love this cover. This is going straight up into Slay. I love this shade of blue, and I just love the illustration in this. I think it fits the title really well. I love how they're sitting on the title. That's just like genius. I love how they're both like reading but also communicating with like exchanging books behind their backs, and I just honestly really like this. I think it's a really well done cover. I don't feel like it's doing too much, and I think it represents probably the book very well. It's probably about a couple that reads and goes on a vacation because they have a suitcase. Yeah, I don't know. But I think it's simple and effective, and I really like this, and that's why I also decided to include the next cover of Book Lovers. And I just think this cover is going to dead to all of them, because honestly, like, the other cover just did it way best. And this cover, I do really enjoy the colors, but it just says nothing about the fact that they're book lovers. Like, if the title of the book is called Book Lovers, they're probably book lovers, and only one of them is reading, and you can barely tell. I literally had to zoom in it and see that she was holding a book, because honestly, it doesn't even look like a book. And I'm getting too worked up about a book cover, I don't know why. But honestly, this book cover is just lost potential compared to the other one. I maybe think they could have, I don't know, included the illustration from the other one and did like more funky colors like in this one, but it lost the purpose of the book. Like, the book is called Book Lovers. Why are they kayaking? Like, it makes no sense to me. Next cover, also by Emily Henry, is People We Meet on Vacation, and this is going into What About Kevin, because I do really like the combination of colors. This kind of looks like the previous cover of Book Lovers, because they're both like doing the same summer activity and one of them is reading. Like, it's basically the same thing. So I love the colors in this, and I love how it's displayed and the little like palm trees picking through the cover, but it's honestly giving us nothing about the book, and I feel like I know nothing from the story just looking at the cover. And I really do love when book covers give us a little bit more of just like little details of the story. I love reading a book and just looking at the cover afterwards and being like, oh, this is because of this and this is because of this, and this cover is just giving us nothing. Honestly, I'm gonna change it. I think I'm gonna put it in Get Your Fucking Ass Up and Work, because like I'm describing it, it's just, it could have done more. Then we have You and Me on Vacation, and honestly, for a while there, I thought that People We Meet on Vacation and You and Me on Vacation was the same book, and now I realize it's not even a part of the same like series or anything. They're completely unrelated from what I gathered, and I just think this cover is really fun. It's really setting the summer vibe, so it's going in What About Kevin. I just think it's a really good cover. It's giving LA summer vibes. I really hope it's set in LA, otherwise it makes no sense. Next up, we have some Colleen Hoover books. I kind of like refrained myself from putting all of Colleen Hoover books in this list, because honestly, all of them are really popular in BookTok. First up, we have Heart and Bones. I think it's Heart and Bones, or is it just Heart Bones? Wait. Okay, apparently it's Heart Bones, and I really thought it was Heart and Bones. And when I first saw this cover on my research, I was really thinking that this was a coloring book, because I know that Colleen Hoover has released some coloring books, and from this cover, this looks like a coloring book as well, but then the cover just says a novel, so I'm gonna assume it's a book. And I hate this cover with a passion. I think it's ugly, and I also think it's a coloring book, and also I don't like the title of the book, so this is going straight to dead to all of them, and it's going at the top actually, because I just hate this cover with a passion. Like, when I first saw it, I was really confused by this cover. It's just really messy. I had to zoom in to kind of understand what was going on. Like, if this was a cover from 2010, 2012, I maybe would have been like, okay, it's a sign of the times. But no, this book is recent. Like, I don't know where year this is from. Oh my god, this is from 2020. Like, Next up, we have Reminders of Him, and this cover is okay. It's just a very generic looking cover, and I know that I did the She Looks Like Every Other Bitch category for a specific type of romance book where like there are two characters on either side, but honestly I feel like this cover is also going in that category because this is just a very generic cover in another way. She looks like every other bitch, but not the bitch that I was mentioning before. She looks like just a summer book. Like, it has the summer colors, it has birds, and that's it, you know? Moving on, we have the BookTok book to end all BookTok books, and It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Even though I have seen this book cover literally everywhere, it's kind of following me and I don't like it. I didn't know that this was Shattered Flowers. I only realized that literally yesterday. I just thought this was like Shattered Glass. I don't know. For that reason, I think I'm gonna put this in Dead to All of Us. Also because this, like I said, this cover is following me. I hate seeing it everywhere and it's just kind of infuriating. Also, I've heard a lot of problematic things about this book as well. Next up, we have Verity by Colleen Hoover. I remember when this came out and I was just very confused because this doesn't look like a Colleen Hoover book, but kind of in the worst way possible. I hate this cover font saying Verity. It's just not good, and I feel like this is Colleen Hoover trying to be not like other girls. And I also just don't understand what's going on. In this cover, I just see feet and then I see something. And I don't understand, and I think it's just mysterious for the sake of being mysterious, so I'm gonna put this in Get Your Fucking Ass Up and Work, because I think this is an improvement for Colleen Hoover covers. I feel like most of them are pretty interchangeable, they all look the same, and this is kind of doing something different. Not good, but it's just something different, so I have to give her credit. Next up, we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I do gotta say that I really thought that this was One of Us is Lying, and I really thought that One of Us is Lying was also A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I feel like these two books, to me, in my head, they're the same. I only realized this a couple of months ago that they're not the same. They're actually two different books by two completely different people. And also the covers kind of don't look anything like each other, but in my head, they are the same book. They have the white, they have the red, they're kind of like a mystery, murder mystery maybe, both of them, I don't know. But now, like, objectively looking at the covers side by side and not thinking that they're the same book, I do like One of Us is Lying better. I think it's just more interesting. I also really like the title font, which is something that I can't say for A Good Girl's Guide to Murder because I think it's just not doing a great job there. And I do gotta say that One of Us is Lying is going in What About Kevin, and A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is going in Get Your Fucking Ass Up and Work. Moving on, we have The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren, and this is also another author that I'm just like, get a better cover designer. I don't know if these authors use kind of like the same person to do all their covers, but it kind of feels like it. And first, The Honeymooners, I think this shade of yellow is actually offensive, and I hate looking at it. It kind of hurts my eyes, honestly, to look at it. So I'm gonna put it straight into Dead to All of Them. I just think the cover is actually pretty neat, but then this shade of yellow just is a complete disservice to the rest of the cover. Next up, we have The Soulmate Equation, also by Christina Lauren, and this cover is just, honestly, if this was Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover, I would have been like, okay, this is a very just generic cover. She looks like every other bitch. Like, these two covers are so different but so interchangeable, it's crazy. And yeah, it's just a very bland cover. Next up, we have another book cover that keeps following me everywhere and I just can't escape it. And it is Twisted Love by Anna Wong. Like, this is the most boring cover ever. I think this is the only covers for these books, at least from my knowledge. And they're so boring. Like, they're literally not doing anything. It's a blue background with blue font with the book title, and that's it. How is this a book cover that is so popular and that keeps following me everywhere? I honestly don't know. So this is dead to all of them. I really hope that Anna Wong gets better covers for these books, because if they're so popular, they should get a better cover artist. Next up, we have From Lukov with Love, and this cover has intrigued me for so many years because I really do like it, especially because this one I do know kind of the plot of the book. I know it's a romance book and I know it's about like ice skaters, and so because of that, I love how the book cover kind of illustrates that. And I am not really one that usually likes covers with like real photos. I usually prefer illustrations over photos, but I think in this case it works really well. I love how the title is displayed all across the book. So this is going into Slay. It's just doing something, so I have to give it its praise. Next up, we have Spanish Love Deception, and I will disappoint some people because I don't like this cover at all. I think it could have been a Tessa Bailey book and I would have been like, okay, yeah, it is. Because there's two characters looking at each other and it's not doing anything different or special. It does give a little bit more of like the context of the book, and I guess it's about traveling and probably someone is going to Spain because, you know, the title. But other than that, yeah, it's just not giving anything. So she's going into She Looks Like Every Other Bitch because she does. Next up, we have A Touch of Darkness, and this cover is really nice. I do gotta say it. It grew on me when I first looked at it. I was just unsure, but because of the title, it's A Touch of Darkness and the cover is really dark, and I love the intricate design on this cover and how the kind of like design is flowing into the title. I love this. Going into Slay. It's just, I really like it. The more I look at it, the more I like it. Next up, we have Things We Never Got Over, and this is also another cover, not to the extent of Twisted Love and It Ends With Us, but this cover has also been like eyeing me from like suspicious places, and I think it's doing nothing. It's just very, very bland. This looks like a 2010 book. I'm pretty sure it's not, and it's just so boring and so like not fun to look at. It's just flowers. It's just dead to all of them, honestly. I just don't think this is a good cover. It says absolutely nothing about the book. And moving on, we have Addicted to You, and this cover is basically someone just took a stock photo of a broken heart from somewhere on the internet and put it in kind of a marble background. And yeah, it's just not doing anything for me. It's very boring. I feel like I keep repeating the same thing about all of these covers, but well, let's just be honest, these are not the best covers, and so this is going to dead to all of them. Moving on, we have Icebreaker by Anna Grace, and this is a book that I've seen some places, and after doing research for this video, I honestly now am interested in reading this book because of the cover. I think the cover is so pretty. I love the illustrations on this, and I love how it's telling so much of the book with so little. It's just like two characters on the cover. Like I said before, it's not like Every Other Bitch because they're actually showing their personalities. Going straight into Slay. This is a Slay. I really like this cover, and now that I look at it, it says on top that it's a series, so now I'm questioning my choice of putting this on my TBR because I'm not really into series, but maybe I'll read this one, give it a try, and yeah, we'll see. It looks cute. Next one, we have 1,000 Boy Kisses. First of all, I hate this title for this book. 1,000 Boy Kisses. Yeah, this is a very okay title, but that's not really what we're ranking here, but this is going straight into dead to all of them. I can't look at this cover too long. It honestly really pains me to look at it because this is a really like terribly done cover, honestly, in my humble opinion. I could have done this on Photoshop, and yeah, it's just a bunch of layers on top of each other. There's no effort into this cover. It's just stuff on top of stuff with like 50% opacity, and that's it. Moving on, we have Conversations with Friends by Miss Sally Rooney. I was searching for this cover. There's also other variations of cover for this book, and this one jumped to me because then I saw the cover for the audiobook, which kind of like shows a little bit more of the faces from this cover, and oh my god. Like, what happened? Why is this scary? These covers are very weird, especially the one on the left, like deserves jail time. So after looking at the audiobook cover, I couldn't look at the book cover and just not see those horrible, terrifying faces. So yeah, this is going to death to all of them. I'm so sorry. Anyway, next up we have A Court of Thorns and Roses, and for this one I decided to include two covers for this book. And I do gotta say that when the new covers came out, everyone hated them. Everyone was like saying how terrible they were and how boring they were. I honestly like them, and I'm gonna put this in slay, honestly. I was actually showing all of these covers to my boyfriend yesterday, and he really liked this one as well. And I kind of want him to read this book without like any knowledge of the plot because he would be surprised, but he said that it was a very nice cover. To me, it's also a slay. It's a pretty good cover. I really like the rebranding that they did. I think it's just not as corny as the original covers, so I'm gonna put the original cover in What About Kevin, because it's not a bad cover, and I just think they're kind of corny, but I do like the intricate design on them. Next up we have The Deal, and these covers are also not good. This is a series, and basically all of the covers are kind of this similar style, and it has like a weird Instagram filter on top, and it just looks very odd, and I don't like it. So this is going to death to all of them, honestly. I really don't like it. But is it the same as the other ones I put here? Or I think I'm gonna put it in She Looks Like Every Other Bitch, because honestly, she does. It gives us nothing. Also, something that confuses me about this cover is that it's a girl in her underwear laughing on what looks like a bed, and then there's like this whistle that is just hanging there, and I don't know if it's because it's like supposed to be like it's hanging off of her shoulder, or someone is like holding up the whistle in front of her, and it just looks like what is going on, honestly. Like, they could have taken out the whistle. Maybe the whistle is part of the story. Maybe she's a referee. I don't know. Next up we have The Zodiac Academy, and this is also a cover that pains me to look at it. It's just very ugly, and I'm definitely putting it in death to all of them. I don't like it. I think the color scheme is odd. I think there's too much going on. It's just trying to put too many things in the cover. Like, the background of the cover is like a brick wall that is like red at the bottom, and then there's all of these zodiacs, and then there's two ladies. It's not a good cover. I really need to see what year this book was published, because I feel like it's a pretty recent book and the cover is so dated somehow. Next up we have Better Than the Movies, and this cover is pretty cute because these are all like references to movies. At least two of them I do understand. The one on the bottom I feel like maybe is The Notebook, maybe. I like the thought of this cover. I really like it, but it's not great. I don't really like the choices in terms of colors. I don't think these colors really look that well together. So this is going in What About Kevin, because It's good, but it could have been a little bit better. But I still do appreciate the thought behind this cover. I think it's cute, and I do love movie references, so they got me there. The next one is Funny You Should Ask, and this is one that I really hadn't seen a lot online, but I love this cover. Maybe it's because I love pink, but I think this cover is just so enticing. And if I saw it in a bookstore, I would probably pick it up and maybe I would even buy it. I don't even know what this book is about, but I just think this cover is so interesting and so original. Now we have Love and Gelato, and this is it's just very boring. I don't know what it's trying to achieve. Like, gelato, yes, it has 2 ice creams. That's it. Like, there was really not much. It was just like, oh, gelato, we're gonna put 2 ice creams, and that's it. And I don't know, it could have done a lot more. I do like the simplicity of the cover, and I do like the font and the use of color, but I don't know. I think it's get your fucking ass up and work, because honestly, it's not terrible, but it's not doing anything different. It's not reinventing the wheel, and it's just, it could have done a lot better, honestly. Next up, we have another book that I added 2 covers, and it is The Fine Print. And I specifically added these 2 covers because I first saw this book a couple of months ago, I think, and I first saw this first cover of the book, and I saw actually in a vlog or something from this initial cover, and from that person's vlog, I was really interested in this book, but then I started researching a little bit more about it. I found out it's basically a smutty book, and then I also found the second cover, and oh my god, it's terrible. Like, oh my god, like the difference in covers, I'm so glad they did like a rebrand of the covers, because they just look so much better. I think they're so interesting, and I do really like that it's not like a mysterious man looking. Just like, this first cover is literally going into What About Kevin, because I think it's a pretty good cover. It tells a story and it's interesting, and I really like the illustrations, so I like this one. But then the second fine print cover is going into Dead to All of Them, because oh my god, like this is the worst type of cover. This, or when it's just like a torso of a man, that really irks me. Like, I can't look at covers like that. Next up, we have another book that I added 2 covers, and it is Legend and Lattes. And this one, I first saw the second cover here, and I honestly was like, what is this book? What is going on? But then I saw this first cover that is a little bit more, not so much on the nose. And I feel like people are gonna disagree with me, but I feel like this cover is a little bit more interesting, but I don't like the colors in this at all. I think this yellow and this blue and this kind of like orangey red color don't complement each other that well. But I do really prefer it to the other cover with the characters, because the one with the characters is just very intimidating to me, honestly. Don't think I would pick it up. It just seems like a very high fantasy book, and maybe it is. So for the one with the coffee cup, I'm gonna put in Get Your Fucking Ass Up and Work. And honestly, the second one as well, because it's not Dead to All of Them, and she doesn't look like every other bitch. So I just think both of these covers could use some improvements, to be honest. Next up is You've Reached Sam, and this is a cute cover, but I don't know. I just really don't know. Honestly, I kind of feel nothing towards this cover. It's just cute, and I do like the illustrations. It could be improved, but I think I'm still gonna put this in What About Kevin, because it's cute, and maybe if I was in a bookstore and I saw this on a table, I would pick it up and read the back. So it's good, but it's not the best. Next up, we have Bunny by Mona Awad, and this is also on my TBR, and I really want to read this one. And I do really like this cover, so this is going to slay. I love the different colors in this. I love the yellow and the pink. and I just love how it's simple but to the point, and I just like it, and it intrigues me, and I do know what the plot is about, and that also intrigues me, so maybe that has something to do with it. But yeah, I do like this cover. Next up is House of Salt and Sorrows, and this cover, I used to like it more, but now that I see it like super small here on the screen, it's giving kind of nothing. It's just, you really have to zoom in and see it in person to kind of understand what's going on, because it's just very dark and you can barely read the title. But I do understand the point of the cover, because the cover is kind of like a sea background and it has like pebbles all around it, and the title is kind of like bronze but like rusted because of the water. So I do understand the purpose, but it's just very dark and very hard to read. So for that reason, I'm gonna put it in Get Your Fucking Ass Up and Work, because it could have been a little bit less dark. Thankfully, we're nearing the end, because I've been filming for what feels like forever and I'm really tired of talking. Next one is the Inheritance games, and these covers are trying to do too much. Like, too much is going on. I literally have to zoom in to see like all the details, and I do like details, but this is just a little bit too much. And I feel like it also kind of reads the She Came From Nothing, Inheritance, They Have Everything games, Let the Games Begin. And it's just very confusing. Like, why is that sentence in the middle of the title? It kind of makes no sense. So this is going into Get Your Fucking Ass Up and Work, because yeah, she needs to work. She needs to be a little bit less confusing and a little bit more readable. I just don't like the messiness of it, honestly. The next one is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, and I have gone back and forth on this cover. I used to love it, but now I look at it and I don't know. Like, after looking at so many covers for the last hour, I'm just not computing anymore, but I do like it still, maybe. I'm just so confused, but I think I do still like it. It's a bit dark as well, and I feel like there's a million books that kind of look like this, so she could be like every other bitch, but at the same time there's a little bit more character to it. There's like a dragon going around the sword, and there's a Chinese character in the middle of the sword, so it's giving a little bit more of a personality than most covers I see like this. So this is going in What About Kevin, honestly. I used to love it more, but now I'm just, it's okay. The next one is The Hating Game, and The Hating Game has other covers that could have ranked for this, but I feel like this is the best one of them. This one we could kind of see it's like an office romance, and they're kind of like mad, I guess, or yeah, I guess they're mad or annoyed. And yeah, it's giving a little bit more. I do hate this font, especially the one in Game. Is it like supposed to be like chalk on a chalkboard? I honestly don't know, but I hate these fonts. But I do like the illustrations and I like the colors used, so this is going in What About Kevin? Next up we have Ice Planet Barbarians. And when I first heard about this book, I was just so confused. And looking at this cover, I do like it. Maybe it's because I'm going insane going at covers and judging them, but I do kind of like it because it is telling us a lot about the book. Like, there's an alien spaceship in the background, there's this woman who is like in this ice planet, I'm guessing, and then there's this, I'm guessing, man in blue, and he has a tail. It is giving us a lot of details about the story, and I do like the illustrations, and I do like the color palette. I think this is going in slay, honestly, because honestly I can't find any fault in this cover. It is good storytelling, so it is a slay. I'm sorry. Next up we have Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi, and this is such a classic booktube book as well. Like, this book has been making its rounds around the internet, and now it's clearly also popular on booktok. This cover is definitely an improvement from the original cover of the book, but it's not good. It's just not good, and I don't think sticking to these types of covers for the whole series was a good idea. This is going into debt to all of them, honestly, because I do really dislike these covers. Next up we have From Blood and Ash, and this is a different type of bitch of every other bitch, but it is a type of fantasy book cover, and it's going in She Looks Like Every Other Bitch because I've seen this type of cover. Like, honestly, These Violent Delights also kind of has this similar vibe. It has like the pops of red and the black background and a sword, but I think These Violent Delights is doing it a little bit better, and this one is just not giving, and it's just very bland and very boring. So She Looks Like Every Other fantasy bitch. Next up we have Birthday Girl, and I've seen this book a lot, but I had never noticed that in the title of the book there is a girl, and also I feel like it's very hard to read with the picture on the title, and yeah, I just don't like it. It's also not giving anything. It's just a girl in a pool. So this is going into get your fucking ass up and work. It is a nice change to see like the cover and the title like inside the font, but it's just not executed very well, and you can't really read the title, but you also can't really kind of see the photo. Next we have The Atlas 6 by, I thought it was Olivia Blake, but I'm guessing it's Olivia Blake. This book cover is kind of not giving anything, but it's also not the worst cover ever. I've definitely seen covers kind of trying to do this, but worse. Kind of like the Zodiac Academy, I feel like it was trying to give this, but it just didn't. So this is definitely an improvement, but it's also not my favorite. So I'm gonna put it in What About Kevin? And finally, the last cover on this list is Sorcery of Thorns, and this cover, I do like the illustrations of the main character, but it's very dark and it's kind of giving what every fantasy book gives and it's just very typical YA fantasy cover. So I think I'm gonna put this in She Looks Like Every Other Bitch because honestly she does. So I guess this is my final ranking of these covers. I honestly had a lot of fun just researching for this video and also ranking these covers. If you love these books, please don't come for me because I am just doing this little fun exercise basing off of the covers. I'm not saying anything about the book content and the story, so yeah, please don't be offended, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you on my next one. Bye.